Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Indeed, the December month is what it is, and there are greetings, felicitations going on all around. Welcome to the month of December, so I might as well add mine in as well. We're happy and a fruitful December. It's not just the season of good cheer alone. As you know, we're in the political season, and it's been observed over the years that this political season seems to open the floodgates to dubious news, outright false news, and this is distributed mainly on social media. I always agonize that, look, when people keep on spreading these dubious items that they get, I wish they'd just check, Google the story on mainstream media and find out if they are carrying it. If there's a spectacular news, the online media, the conventional media will be one of the first to be all over it. But in this race to be the first, I don't know. We have this situation so that we've gotten to a stage where if you're not careful, you don't really know what to believe anymore. So I thought I'd discuss this challenge, this phenomenon, if you want, with our guest this morning, a former Commissioner for Information in Edo State, Mr. Kazeem Afegbua. Fine morning to you. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for the opportunity of your platform.
Indeed, it is our pleasure. So here we are. It needs to be said, Kazeem Afegbua resigned outright from the opposition PDP, but then he's not a member of the APC as well. But I think I'm on safe ground to say that he is supportive of the Asiwaju Bola Tinubu ambition.
Of course, you're very right. I made my position known very publicly. When I was leaving the PDP, I gave reasons why I was leaving. I had made a pledge before then that I was going to leave if the PDP, by act of omission or commission, decided to give a ticket to a northern candidate. And so I made my position known in public, and I had to follow through to my words. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to behave like an Ayu who promised to step down if a northern candidate emerged, and now, just like the death and the King's Osman, is finding it difficult to leave. And when it is time for him to perform the ritual, of honoring his own words. So I left PDP formally. I wrote to my world chairman, and I just choose to remain to remain partyless.
Okay.
Kind of. But I'm a strong supporter of a Tinubu presidency, because when I left, the two formidable candidates from the southern part of the country are Peter Obi and Tinubu. And I use my sense of dissonance to also discriminate against who I should support. It's my inalienable right. I interrogated issues that the two candidates were championing. I look at antecedents. I look at their capacity to understand the Nigerian dynamics. And in the end, I took a decision that I will support an Asiwaju presidency. And I've been very resolute about that.
How concerned have you been in your support of this candidacy? The amount of stuff that's out there, it's got so bad that I saw recently a newspaper report about members of his family needing to caution the public, members of the Tinubu family in Lagos, needing to caution the public that please, just slow down, chill. We can't go on like this. You can't go on trying to discredit our son, and we don't like it. It's gotten that bad. That's just one of the aspects.
For me, it's not bad. I have a different mindset. I'm a public relations person. I interrogate scenarios. They say in politics there's no publicity that is bad. What is constant is the name Tinubu. It keeps resonating in social discussions, political discussions, different platforms and all that. There are a lot of people who will not take time to read the contents of what is being churned out there because they're in a hurry to move to the next item. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So keeping the name and the currency of it in the public domain is advertisement for him. And for someone who is, so popular and nearing, coasting home to victory, so to speak, there is a tendency that people will churn out, orchestrate all manners of news just to cause a distraction.
Yes.
Just 2 days ago, I was seeing a picture where they placed him side by side Joe Biden of the U.S., the president of the U.S., and said that Tinubu was visiting. Even when the campaign had issued a formal statement detailing his itinerary by the time he will be leaving the country on the 4th of December, Sunday, to address opinion leaders, stakeholders in Chatham House on the 5th, Monday, and thereafter how he will proceed to other places in Europe and America to carry out, his foreign trip. People still went ahead and, superimposed his picture as if he was discussing with Joe Biden. The campaign has since denied that.
Of course.
But this is a season of politics and political campaigns, just like you said. And there's a tendency that people will keep coming up with all of these scenarios. But I'm not bothered because I have my eyes fixed on the votes. How I will go to my little village of Okbela, queue up in my Ward 5, and I will rally around my other voters to say, please, let's vote for Tinubu.
Part of the reason I imagine that these false stories, dubious news keep on making their rounds is that it's not always that they are perpetrated by a nobody. Take the former secretary to the government of the Federation, for instance, Babachi Lawal.
Yeah.
He's not a riffraff. And so when he goes out and makes statements, which he has, quite consistently, that, actually put down the campaign of Tinubu, especially on this whole business about same-faith tickets, and then proceeds to do analysis of why he cannot possibly win, haven't made a mistake, you begin to worry that people who know the power of communication and are using it this way, I don't know if it leaves a lot to be desired.
Well, for obvious reasons, you expect Babachi Lawal to be angry because he has shown symptoms of a bad loser.
But he hasn't lost anything.
Because no. Let me tell you. Because we know we are political players. I'm an insider in most of political discourse. Without sounding immodest. He lobbied to become a running mate. That's not it. That's not
of Tinubu.
And yes, of Tinubu, and that is a legitimate aspiration. I must say that. But only one person is required to occupy that position. Only one person out of the multitudes that showed interest. If you say you are someone's friend, as Babachi Lawal claimed, I expect that you should understand the rationale for taking certain decisions. And if it is not your lot, I also expect that you would tolerate, a deviation from your own interests. So that in the final analysis, if you are not this, you can be this. In politics, it must not be dogmatic that this is what you are going to be. So if you don't get it, you want to spoil the cook. The issue of same faith that Babachi Lawal has displayed is very ridiculous to me. Ridiculous in the sense that some of us who are insiders also know the role he played to undermine the aspiration of James Faleke, a Christian who was running mate to Abubakar Audu in the Kogi election. And when Abubakar Audu died and all of that, we know certain roles that some certain persons play, including him.
As you say, you being an insider, you would know that
including him,
better than members of the public.
To undermine that process. And for curious reasons, we had a court pronouncement saying that a running mate was not legitimate to take over the position, even though he was part and parcel of those votes. So it was a curious conclusion, but today, that's it. And he was SGF then, and so we know some of these things. And you see, if you want to champion the cause of Christians, you must come, on the table with clean hands. You must be, of course, I know that there's a court that has given him a clean bill of health over allegations that were thrown at him. But again, those were the allegations that also sent him out. It has to do with the issue of IDPs in Christian-dominated areas in his state, Adamawa. So the point is, you must live above board. You must be seen to to be able to explain scenarios in a more transparent and holistic manner that will see you as one of the ambassadors of the Christian faith. But I have not seen him as one.
You don't
That's
think he has
one.
achieved that
And nobody, I've
he
said
hasn't
it,
ticked those boxes.
in my interview yesterday and 2 days back, I did state categorically that no sane candidate would take an arrogant Babachi Lawa as a running mate. He will spoil the cook. And now that because he feels that he's been alienated from the whole process, he's championing single faith. But I want to ask you, how much of the single faith, dogmas have we seen in this whole campaign? When even the candidate himself has a pastor as a wife, he says by the bedside lamp in their home is shared between the Quran and the Bible, and he has not in any way, mitigated anything against the wife who is a pastor of the Redeemed Church. So such a man best represents the dynamics of our religiosity and also understanding the peculiar situation that we find ourselves as a country. As a politician, you must note, and very instructive, that you play politics to win. You don't play politics to lose. Because it's like the common malapropian bluff. Big man, they talk. Poor man saying, get ideas. If you have ideas, you'll be a big man. So that's the point. So there are religion and politics are two fundamental, aspirations in life. Those who are playing the religious card are waiting to be received to heaven by God in the hereafter. Those who are playing politics are waiting to be enthroned into political power so that they can deliver on their promises. So while one talks about hereafter, the other talks about here on earth. So there are two different scenarios. And I keep telling people, if you are a running mate to any president or however you want to describe it, you are not going there to begin to champion the aspirations of just the faith you belong. You are not going to be doing that. What you are going to be doing is to be answerable to the demands, expectations, and aspirations of the country, Nigerians.
Exactly.
You are going to preside over the good, the bad, and the ugly, whether they belong to the traditional religion, whether they belong to the Islamic faith or the Christian faith. You see, sentiments of this nature are very dangerous to follow because it's also eroding the sanctity of our religion. Because I give you a typical example. Our current vice president is a Christian and is a pastor. And I asked a bishop on a television program, I said, can you please explain to me how many churches that Osibanjo has built? I think we should be seeing this more in the conduct of the individual and their understanding of the dynamics of the country to delivering on electoral promises that to favor, because poverty does not know religion. Poverty does not know whether you are a Christian or Muslim. What politics advocate is to provide good governance that will help to drive the aspirations, legitimate and otherwise, of the individual, creating an enabling environment for people to pursue their legitimate aspirations. But the moment we keep dwelling on the issue of religion, then you now begin to ask yourself, do we have Christian and Muslim religion alone in Nigeria? There are traditional worshippers. There are people who are atheists. So are you going to say because they don't belong to your faith that you don't consider them? So politics is a potpourri of several belief systems. And once a candidate understands those dynamics, he'll be able to deliver. I'll give you another typical example. A Christian pastor, Vice President Osibanjo, visited Owo massacre when it happened recently. And he went there to represent the federal government. He spoke eloquently, shared in the aspirations of those who were affected. He entered his plane and went back to Abuja. A Muslim candidate in Tinubu visited Owo. He's a Muslim. He went there, shared in the aspirations of the people, and donated 75 million for those victims of that disease. So it's about the heart.
I get you.
Now, are you going to refuse that 75 million because he's a Muslim? No.
Not really.
But that 75 million can cater for a lot of things for those helpless, victims to get some reprieve.
But to be fair, What if the vice president who visited first simply doesn't have 75 million to give?
5 million is enough. Even 2 million. You have to show concern.
Okay.
I'm telling you that all of this is about the heart of the individual.
Putting your money where your mouth
The
is.
heart is actually the religion of any man. Once you are trying to detain yourself within the cocoon of saying you want to be dogmatic with what your belief systems are, you're going to be. The Bible not say if somebody slaps you, you should turn the other one, or 70 times, 70 times. Is Babachi Lawa able to do that? As he has exhibited, a clear characteristics of who a Christian is?
Well, since Babachi Lawa is what we're talking about for now, because we're talking about false news, deceitful news, and that kind of a thing. How would you react to Babachi Lawa having said that? Kazim Afegwa, I don't know him. I don't know him. In other words, trying to make out like
okay, that is also
please.
That is also
don't bring inconsequential people to me.
Yeah, that is also an element of arrogance, and which qualifies my statement that such an arrogant man cannot be a running mate.
Because you've been around for quite a while.
If you don't know Kasim Afegboa, at least for 20 years. He's a friend to my boss, IBB.
IBB, you were a spokesman for IBB.
I have been his spokesman till date.
Yes.
For 20 good years, I have been speaking. I have met Babachi Lawa in office as SGF. I went to Adams Oshomole. So my face is not an unknown face, whether in the public domain or in political circles. But of course, it's a convenient way to undermine anyone.
Yeah.
Where you don't want to join issues with the person. But he knows he cannot controvert what I have said. If I don't know him, I won't know that he's an arrogant person. You get the point?
I get you.
So the point is, don't even look at the messenger. Look at the message I have put forward. I'm the messenger, an unknown quantity. They said so in PDP when I started a fight with, what's his name, Uche Secondus. They said so, one inconsequential Kasim Afegboa. I like to be underrated. But at the end of the day, the point I'm making, I will drive home that point using all the arsenal at my disposal. It is now left for you to controvert my position and take your own stand, but to begin to say, without interrogating my position, to say that I'm inconsequential, it's not an issue to me. And it doesn't matter. My name is simply Kasim Afegboa. I may not be inconsequential, but I have a voice. And I have platforms to put across my views.
What can we do, or are we going to have to live with it? I'm talking about the false news, the avalanche. You remember back in the day, I think last year, before then, it even led to, Twitter going down for a while and then coming back. They tried to put some sort of sanity into the way social media was being used to foment lies. Is this a situation that we're just going to have to live with it because people are simply not going to comply? And with the anonymity of our social media in a lot of cases, not everybody is anonymous on social media, they get away with blue murder.
You see, I have been a victim as spokesman to IBB. This year alone, they've carried news 7 occasions of the death of IBB.
Okay, yeah.
When the man is hale and hearty and is bubbling, receiving people every day. The last one, before I woke up 7 a.m., I already gotten 16 telephone calls by friends who were concerned, wanting to confirm, because you see them putting a corpse and putting the man's picture so painfully. And I'll put a call across to him and say, sir, they are only asking for your long life, your longevity. You're going to be 82 next year. You are going to live more years for us. Because you are a reservoir of knowledge of the peculiarities of Nigeria, of the issues, the dominant issues. He's one person who understands the intricate logic of the Nigerian tripod arrangement. He's one Nigerian you cannot cocoon into a particular geopolitical zone. He has friends across the country, north, south, east, and west. So I have been a victim. The last response I made to that fake news was that if I have my way, the regulations they are running away from, I will decree that regulation into existence. Because in every vocation, no matter how you want it, there has to be serious regulations that will guard the operation of those who are practitioners. Because we are a human society which is supposed to be organized, which is supposed to be dictated to by the regulations that moderate the system. The moment you give freedom in this, unusual manner, the tendency is for you to see all of these bestialities, inanities, without sanctions. And when there are no sanctions, it becomes a free-for-all. So, if you want to run a proper system, there has to be regulations. And those regulations will have to be put into the public domain for them to be, some of these.
So there must be a strategy.
Some of these are media platforms. They have different organizations. You have the Guild of Editors. You have the Editors Forum. You have social media platforms. You have online publishers and all of that. So you have to rally them round. Let them interrogate the issues. Let them also have a buy-in into why there is the need for regulations. The regulations are not to strangulate you. Mm-hmm. It's for you to be able to trace an anonymous storyteller who is telling a deliberate falsehood and lies just to cause a disaffection. And let me tell you, the implication of some of these fake news is so grievous, because you just wake up one morning, you see a story that can even plunge the country, as delicate as it is, into an avoidable crisis. And before you say Jack Robinson, you will have, say, a concatenation of other events that is a product of that fake news. And before they realize it, certain damages have been done. So I think we need to interrogate this process and see how we can talk to ourselves as practitioners.
Because what you just said is what Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, was saying at the time. He was the arrowhead of, speaking for the government. He spoke. So he came under a whole barrage of, hate, abuse, and that kind of thing.
Because the government did not buy in the operators of this several segment of the media. You need to buy, they have organizations, they have associations. You need to take them along. You need to have meetings with them. You need to tell them, set out, as a government, you have access, unfettered access to a lot of information. You situate them. By the time you give 10 different scenarios and you talk about the implications for the wellness and well-being of the country, those operators will understand when you are trying to take a decision. But because there is a general outcry against the government at some point, nobody wanted to listen to Lai Mohammed. But I think as a human society, we need to have regulations that will checkmate some of these excesses.
Indeed. And what about the average consumer of social media and their disposition to, anything in print, anything that they saw on the internet? They actually take it as gospel. Whether we like it or not, there are those segments of our society that unthinkingly forward a thing just because it sounds titillating.
Well, I really don't envy Asiwaju Bola Tinubu in this respect, because every day you wake up, you see all manners of things.
He's the news right now.
I remember last week when I was seeing a particular video credited to Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, saying that he was saying that they won't vote for Tinubu and all of that. From inquiry, the man said that thing was completely doctored. And he had to even do a press conference to state that they are solidly behind Asiwaju Tinubu and they are not going to betray him or disappoint him.
Exactly.
You see, that's one. Secondly, every day they tell you, oh, he made this gaffe, he made this gaffe, he made that gaffe. For me, just like the situation I have stated with respect to sitting him side by side a Joe Biden and now reporting that he has been to America when the man is in Nigeria or even Lagos attending to people, is just to convey the wrong impressions, anti-negativity around his name.
And people
Yes,
sort of flow with it.
Yes, unwittingly, they will do that because they just, these snippets of him. But the saner minds will also interrogate further.
Yeah.
No, we saw this man yesterday. He couldn't have been in America discussing with Joe Biden unannounced.
Well, you'll be lucky. I mean, it's good that because you're looking at it logically, and that's what one expected for a while, that people would not believe this. People would at least look at what the mainstream press is saying about it.
It's like, I'll give you another scenario. They said he wants to relocate the seat of government to Lagos. If he wins, if he becomes president. You see, for the uneducated mind, they will think that is just possible. Under a military government, and for those who still share the vestiges of militarism and military administration, those kind of fiats and decree can hold sway. But in a democracy, it has to go through a robust process of interaction, conversation, constructive engagement, and collective bargaining before you can even think about relocating the headquarters of any country. It's already been domiciled in Abuja. It's been decreed into existence. There are laws that are existing that this is it. The constitution of the country has not changed. It recognizes Abuja as the seat of government. But quite a number of persons will not be able to understand these dynamics. That even before you change a provision, even one word from the Nigerian Constitution, it has to go to the first reading, second reading, public hearing. You go around and you must have a buy-in of 24 states of the Federation into it before you can change one word.
And so those kind of news items should be taken with a handful of salt, never mind a pinch.
Yes.
But it is what it is.
Yes, you know, because they have ulterior motives. They want to try to distract the mass campaign.
Yeah.
They know that it's coasting home to victory, and they want to see how they can put roadblocks. But those roadblocks are also helping him to gain more popularity.
Indeed, as you
because
said.
they say if you are inconsequential, nobody will talk about you. I give you a typical example. My dad used to tell me that when I used to complain that certain things, he said, no, compare yourself with a mango tree that has a lot of fruits on it and the one that is barren. The one that has a lot of fruits will have a lot of youths, young and old, throwing stones at it because they want to pluck to eat. They just want to, just for the fun of saying they have gone on an adventure, they want to do it. But the one that is barren is going to be left there.
It'll be left
so
alone.
Tinubu, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is an archetypal structure of the mango tree with a lot of fruits.
And everybody's
So he
going to
has
be
a
throwing,
lot. He has a lot to offer.
everybody's going to be throwing sticks and
Yeah,
stones
they are
at
going
it.
to be throwing sticks at him and all of that.
But
That tree remains a productive tree.
Indeed.
Yes, and preparing so well to govern the country.
Okay, I've been told I have to go on break, but maybe to just, before we do go on break, the other thing that our people, consumers of social media, a lot of knowledgeable people, a lot of educated people are, real fans of social media, but I would wager that there's a much broader, less informed, less educated segment that also uses social media. And in relation to what you just explained, this set probably can't understand the concept of deep fakes. And deep fakes being what they are, they can make, if they're ready to spend the money, they can make anybody say anything. And we have gotten examples of this. So people might just we might just throw that in that, well, we'll be managing as best as we can. You said government itself has the work that it needs to do. It needs to find a way to bring all these groups
But
together.
again, you have to, from this point of view, you also have to look at what Tinubu said in his manifesto about creating a media city. When you want to build a media city, it means that there will be rules and regulations that to guide the operations of a media city and the entertainment industry, because these are huge income spinners. And for a man to be thinking in that direction means that he understands the dynamics that should drive and propel our economic well-being. So I'm waiting to see a Tinubu presidency with the beauty and attraction captured in his manifesto and the kind of boldness and courage he's got, to pursue his aspirations, no matter even if he's the only man.
Ignoring all distractions.
Yes, without distractions. Because you see, leaders, good leaders all over the world are the ones who know where they are taking their people, and not the one that people will drive to certain conclusions.
Okay.
And public opinion Because you can't gauge it, you can't run a government with public opinion.